literally speak to another human being like this. I can't convey these emotions verbally, but I know how to do it through emotion on sound. So that's kind of what I'm saying is like, welcome, yeah, to my hell in a way, and like prepare, because I know for a fact I still have my pride with me. I know that I'm gonna be going to hell with it, but that's okay because at least I'm being honest. So I feel like that's all I got. And if I can hold that to my death, to my casket, then at least I got something.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. You're listening to the Cool Table. We are in the cut with he currently the king of Vancouver right now, the boy Boslen.
Thank you. What an intro. I'm not the king, but thank you very much.
right now. It's album week. You got some fire out. You could at least be the king for this week. Hopefully, no one has no beef with that.
I'll take that. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Now, I got like 40,000 questions about this project because I enjoyed it a lot. You went to a bunch of different places, and I'd heard that you were a big Kanye fan, big KiD CuDi fan. And as a former music director, when I hear that, that's cringe. You know, a lot of people, they go, oh, there's a mix between Rob Thomas and whoever, and it's never that. You're one of the few people who I really felt like that was true, and I felt the versatility on the project. But you had this thing where you said, Dusk to Dawn, the album is a new era. So could you talk about why it's a new era for the album Dusk to Dawn?
I think this album is a new era just solely based off where I am in my life. When we started the project, it was probably 2 years ago. And when it's finally released, I felt like a new era. It felt like there's like a clean slate. It felt like I have evolved as an artist. My executive producer has evolved. Our team has evolved. And we're actually entering a place now where we're doing this fully. You know, like when we were starting this project, I was still kind of finding myself and where I wanted to go or what artist I saw myself or thought myself to be. But now it's like we have the pillars and we have the infrastructure now where I feel like I'm more confident in myself and more confident in my music. So more than anything, yeah, it feels like a new era.
That's really beautiful to hear. I heard you talking about how things were when you started getting into the industry, went through a breakup, you know, a divorce in the family, dropping out of school. Now I see you got your new spot. Everyone's loving the project. How does it feel kind of, you know, again, you talked about a little earlier, but coming from there all the way to where you are now, like, did you foresee that this was happening? Because I know at the beginning you weren't always as optimistic, but like compare this to what it is now to what you thought would have happened.
What I thought, like the worst case scenario, huh? No, man, I'm just extremely grateful more than anything. I think, I'm a type of guy that writes down a lot of manifestations. Like it came probably from my athletic side mentality because I played rugby for a while. So every night during the time of building this project and like, you know, like you all said, like those things that I went through as a young man, I was still always writing my manifestations down, and I was doing prayers a lot. Like I'm not much of like, I've never been to church, but I am religious and I do believe in God or like a higher power or something, you know, something that just helps like us get through those darkest days. So I was always like a firm believer of what this could be, but I never thought that it would be like what it is now, you know, like it kind of grew up into something like it's its own monster now, if anything. So I'm just extremely grateful and I'm very fortunate because it could have went so many different directions. And, you know, I just put all the thanks to my family and my team. So
I'd like to hear that you're writing down manifestations. I hope that it could be like, you know, a push for someone else to do the same, because I do the same thing myself. And a lot of people, they don't really believe in that. They think it's kind of hokey, but hopefully you could be kind of the example of, you know, why it's important to write down your manifestations, write down the things you want to happen and bring those things to life. Now, I want to start with Note to the City. The beat switch on that, crazy.
Thank you.
And I thought it was a completely different song. I literally had to go back to Spotify and say, did the song change? Did I not notice that? Talk about that song. Like, you know, the part you have at the beginning and then the beat switch of Rascalz at the end. Let's talk about that song.
Yeah, man, that's probably one of my favorites on the album, honestly. It's the interlude. And I really, going into this project, it was probably halfway through. So it was probably like 6 months into the project, man. And we really wanted to make something for Vancouver. The sample was kind of sent to me, and right when I started like listening to it, I always thought I had this mentality in mind of wanting to do something for the city. But when I heard it, I thought, okay, I'm gonna go in a way where it's more introspective, more like talking about a girl maybe, or like her going through hard times and kind of writing it from her voice. But then my executive producer, actually, he remembered that I always wanted to do that theme, and he brought it up in the studio session. He's like, man, what if you write it about a girl, but the girl being the city? So he kind of gave me the example of Kanye West, how he did it on Homecoming and writing about Chicago. And I was like, that's a great idea. So from there, I just kind of went down like a rabbit hole of just like trying so many different things and different ways of approaching it. But I think what really hit like the hammer home was tapping in with the Rascalz. And how I did that was, I think it was my creative director, Natasha. We were just having a conversation. I was explaining her this idea, and she reminded me of maybe just like taking a look at like old rappers and like, you know, the past and stuff. And I was looking up the Beastie Boys and all these old rappers, but from that moment, I kind of had like an epiphany where I was like, okay, I need to look in my own backyard. So I looked up Vancouver music or Vancouver rap on YouTube, and an old MTV video came up, and it went through all the old rappers back in the 90s, and the Rascalz came up. And then I don't know, I fell in love with their music, and I started studying them more. And I saw that they represented like Black Lives Matter at the time, where it wasn't, you know, anything big. So I really appreciated that. And they were the true trailblazers. So like I respected that as well. So then I asked my manager just to set up like a dinner with them. And I think I met up with DJ Chemo, and he's one of the most like genuine people. And we just had a very open discussion, like a man-to-man talk about Vancouver and the city and where I wanted to like foresee this vision of mine with this song. And he loved it. So we just kind of tapped in with them, made it work. And yeah, once again, I'm grateful because I think that idea was like stirring the pot for a long time. So finally seeing it out now, it's very trippy. So I'm very thankful.
No, that song is fly as hell. And I feel like that song definitely does Vancouver justice. Because you said in another interview that, you know, Vancouver's always in the shadow of Toronto. And
Yeah.
you know, me being from Toronto, like I'm Toronto heavy, like 6 sides to the death, like, you know, that's how we ride. And I can't even tell you what a Vancouver sound is. You know, if someone's asked me what's a Vancouver sound, like I couldn't even tell you what that is. So I like that you're kind of putting that forward and letting people kind of help learn what a Vancouver sound really means. The shadow theory is a big part of this project. I want you to explain as people, you know, who created that, what that is, and how that relates to Dusk to Dawn.
So the shadow theory was based off is an old philosopher named Carl Jung. And he came up with the idea of a shadow theory. And basically what the theory was that every human being has a shadow, obviously, but he kind of saw it in a way where everybody has a shadow that projects kind of their insecurities or like their self-doubt. So the best example I could give would be like, let's say a person walks into a board meeting and there's a bunch of people in the board meeting and one person is speaking and like very confident and just kind of, you know, being what that person that just walked in hopes to see themselves, but they can't do it because they're scared to talk in front of a group maybe, or they think that he's just, I don't know, like flexing too much. I don't really know, but it's just those self-thoughts that they're projecting on that person. It ultimately comes off as negativity. And like that shadow that they're projecting on them comes off as like, it's like tearing them down in a way. So what I wanted to do was based off the themes of Dusk to Dawn, I wanted to project my shadow on this music where start talking about my insecurities, start talking about my, you know, my highs and my lows and just turn that into like self-empowerment in a way. So that's how it was kind of based on the music side. And for the branding side, we kind of put that on the merch. We put that on, you know, like a bunch of posters. We put that on the stage visuals, even in like some of the music videos. If you watch the trailer, there's a lot of, you know, hidden like Easter eggs of like shadow and how it's projected or like quite literally it being there. So we just try to make it all tie together.
No, listen, I love that. I love to actually have themes in the music and the duality of those two things. It's like there is that confidence, that arrogance that you want to have, but as well, there's insecurity that go with it. And those two things are not, you know, unlinked. They go together in so many ways. You had a line on Dusk, which I wrote this down because I'm like, what a crazy way to start the project off. And you said, been through it all, but never sold my pride. Right on the wall, welcome to my own demise. Living in hell that is disguised as a lie. That's big bars right there. Please tell us about that. That's big bars right there.
Thank you for catching that, bro. I appreciate that. That's fun. Nobody ever catches those things, man. So I appreciate that. Yeah, welcome. We're living in hell. Welcome to my demise. I think more than anything, the intro, I wanted to set the tone. Even the first words, if it's time for me to say I lost it, I know I tried, I'll keep that to my casket. So like these words is basically just foreshadowing like what the album's going to become. As in, I did my best, like welcome to my hell. Welcome to a place where I cannot literally speak to another human being like this. I can't convey these emotions verbally, but I know how to do it through emotion on sound. So that's kind of what I'm saying is like, welcome, yeah, to my hell in a way, and like prepare, because I know for a fact I still have my pride with me. I know that I'm gonna be going to hell with it, but that's okay because at least I'm being honest. So I feel like that's all I got. And if I can hold that to my death, to my casket, then at least I got something. So
Nah, I rock to that real heavy, and it set the tone for real. When you said, I never sold my pride, that was big because people talk about never selling their soul, but no one talks about holding on to their pride as big as that is and as important as that is.
I think
And
it's
then,
yeah, because growing up with like the mom I did and growing up with like the father, I think their main things were always about pride and like being a true man of your word and holding that down more than anything. So that's just kind of how I was raised. So yeah, I think putting that into my music, it just bleeds into it naturally.
Jay-Z has this line where he says, "Everything you said you do, you did it. Couldn't talk about it if you ain't live it." That's what came to my mind when you had that. So big bars right there.
Jay-Z's a king, bro. Jay-Z's a true king. So thank you.
Nah, for sure, for sure. Like, now you did your thing on this project for real. Like, I really feel like I know you're getting a lot of good reviews and people are loving it, but I feel like there is a kind of people not seeing the messages as much. Like you got a lot of messages in here that I feel like for sure everyone's bumping to the track, everyone dancing, whatever, but a lot of messages that people are not catching. So I really wanted to make sure we highlighted those. Now, My Ways threw me for a loop. After the whole album, when I got to My Ways, I said, yo, this is different. And there's already a bunch of different sounds up until that point, but My Ways is to me probably the most different on the project. Is there any other different sounds that you kind of tried that either didn't make the project or were similar to My Ways? Because you go a bunch of different ways all over this thing. So what other sounds did you try that it didn't make the final project?
We tried everything, man. We tried, trust me, when I say everything, like we made some garbage music. We made some awful music. But like I am more, I'm more thankful for the garbage music than all the music that I have now. Because at least all the garbage music that didn't make it, those are like all the shots that didn't land. And at least we pulled all those triggers, right? So yeah, we tapped into close to every like genre, man. Like we tried the Caribbean, we tried the Afro beats, we tried the heavy metal, we tried the pop, we tried the alternative pop, we tried man, so many different sounds. Because I think like coming out of your comfort zone was one of the biggest themes on this project, because I feel like that's truly how you're being authentic, because you're kind of taking a leap of faith, and people watching you take a leap of faith is, to them, they can kind of connect with it, because everybody, not only in music, but they're all trying to take leaps of faith in their own lives. So they're all trying to like, go in directions that are hard. So I feel like that's the only way I can do it.
I'm happy to hear y'all empty out the whole clip, because I feel like that definitely was needed in terms of how diverse this project is. Yeah. Now, Trip, the light side and the dark side, kind of the two sides of that song. Yeah. Explain that to the people. What like it is. The album obviously is called Dusk to Dawn. Yeah. Everyone can kind of understand the duality of the two sides, but on Trip, you really kind of go for it with the two sides in that one song. So explain that.
I feel like Trip is a good example, but a better example would be Dawn, the outro, because that's just my favorite. But I'll speak on Trip first, because Trip, when I was making it, I wanted this song to be like the end all be all in a way. I wanted it to be like the white flag where you're literally just with the team. I wanted to paint a picture of just like a barbecue. You're just enjoying life, you're thankful. And it's finally like just that breathing moment where like you just live in that moment and you just enjoy things and you're just happy. But because it is an album and because I'm trying to tell a story, my executive producer, once again, he thought of the idea of blending it back into like that roller coaster of emotion, where you can always be in that moment and you can always just appreciate life and have that moment, but there's always going to be something in your head that maybe pulls you out of it. Like, for instance, an example of that was, I just had my album release party in Vancouver, and someone came up to me and they're like, "Are you happy?" And immediately I was like, "Yeah, I'm very happy. I'm super happy." And then they walked away. And then I was thinking in my head, I was like, "I'm not fucking happy." I'm not. Like, there's so much more to do. And the reason I'm not is because I'm not there yet. you know? And I think that being said I was kind of like thankful that I'm not happy yet, because I am very grateful, but I'm trying to do something that nobody's ever done before. And like, I'm sure all artists say this, everybody says this, but more than anything, I'm trying to be a trailblazer from a city that hasn't been tapped in yet. So for me to just be happy and just enjoy this moment for months and months, it's just going to waste time, honestly, because I know there's so much more work to do. But yeah, sorry, I kind of got off track, but back in the trip, that's kind of what paints the picture in the song in a way. And then on Dawn, more than anything, we tapped into it because going into those highs of like the beginning of Dawn, of just talking about like being yourself and like being introspective, but yet still building on that theme of escaping it and being like tapping into escapism. We're all trying to escape like maybe where we once started, or a specific individual or an emotion or a place we once lived in our life. So that core theme, I think, really built this album from the grassroots. And then once again, it transitions to that dark again. And I feel like there's always that balance that I'm still trying to learn to deal with.
Man, what you're saying before about you're trying to do something no one's ever done before in terms of trailblazing for your city. I don't want you to be humble about this, man, because you're really, really doing it, and it's really, really gonna happen. And I'm speaking it for you. So we're not gonna be humble about that. That's really, really gonna happen. People are gonna think of Bossy when they think of Vancouver. So I'm speaking that for you. I got you, bro. I got you. Let's get to the serious questions now. This first one we ask everyone on the show. Because when someone gets $100 million, they buy animals. I don't know what it is. Mike Tyson with his tiger, Justin Bieber with his monkey. That's just how the game goes. So when you get to the 100 M's, is there an animal that you have in mind?
I'm going to buy a gorilla, and I'm going to make him my security guard.
That's cold.
That'd be so hard, bro. A gorilla security guard? Nobody's coming near me.
No one's messing with you. Are you crazy? No one's messing with you.
Yeah, no, I think I'm gonna get a gorilla. I think that'd be dope.
I think that's probably the best answer we've had, no cap, because gorilla security guard, like,
just imagine two silverback gorillas walking into a club with you, and you're just chilling. you're just laughing. Like, that's it.
No, that's cold. That's cold. Now, I want to get our top 5 KiD CuDi songs before we got out of here. Now, I'm going to get us started with some of my favorites. And there's obviously the ones that everyone knows, The Pursuit of Happiness, CuDi Zone, Day and Night. But yeah, pull up Spotify because you need that help with all the CuDi projects. I'm going to start with this one coming from Passion, Pain, and Demon Slaying. And it's Rose Golden with him and Willow. That chorus that Willow has talking about lost since I was young, knew what I'd become. Very, very underrated. So the first one throwing into our 5 is Rose Golden from Willow. But you got next. What's the next KiD CuDi song we're going to throw into this?
It's called The Prayer. It's like an old song. Like, that's what got me into CuDi. Like, that was the first song I could find. And it's not even on like Apple Music or Spotify because they couldn't clear the sample. But man, like that song, like when I first started rapping, it was on that type beat because of KiD CuDi and what he did on it. So that song, more than anything, it made me the fan I am today. So
that's a go. I forgot about The Prayer. The Prayer was the one for me too. It was The Prayer and then Up and Away were the 2 that I heard.
Up and Away. I still listen to that today, bro. It's so good.
Yeah, Up and Away.
On any sunny day, and you're gonna feel like you're on top of the world.
I showed it to my baby bro. He just turned 17. And I was like, listen, like, I don't want you doing drugs yet. Stay away from women yet. But this song will take you where you need to go until you can do all of that. So for sure. One more that I want to add. This is my second pick for our top 5 KiD CuDi songs is Girls. Him and Too Short off of Indicud. When that song came out, I feel like I was listening to that song for 18 months straight. So got to put that one in.
That's a good one. So we're making a good list. My next one would be probably Reborn. Reborn, KiD CuDi, and Kanye. Yeah, on Kids See Ghosts, I believe. Yeah, that one, it's just the chorus and his hums and stuff. It's very therapeutic. So
yeah. If we weren't running out of time, I have a very great story about that song. But when that song came out, crazy time in my life, and I was just again.
That's what I love about music, man. You can really like paint your moments with it. So makes it so much more like special too.
100%. This one, I don't know if anyone else has this in their top 5, but this is one for me, and it comes from KiD CuDi presents Satellite. It is Balmain Jeans. That
Oh
song he has
man,
Raphael Sadiq.
I think I heard
Yeah,
that.
that's a track. That's a track.
For real, for real.
So
Yeah.
I think we got our five. I want to make sure we put our five in the description for this so that we can put all people onto all the KiD CuDi songs that they didn't know before. This is the last one before we got it here. Now we do a segment on the show called Wednesday Wisdom. Every single week we have a motivational quote or saying that we keep in mind to help keep us going when we're feeling a little low. Is there something that you keep in mind that either you tell yourself or tell others when it gets a little low?
There's a quote I live by, I think. My dad told me it's to whom much is given, much will be tested. So that's a quote that I live by, man. Yeah, I'm gonna get that tattooed or some shit because I feel like for me, it means like all the biggest opportunities and everything that you continue to get. Because as humans, we're always looking for what's next, right? But just understand that you're always gonna be tested for it. You know, like you got to be grateful for it and to live in that moment and appreciate it, or it's all gonna go away. So it just reminds me to always be thankful.
I like that one a lot. A family member who I do not know how they're related to me, but when I was in Jamaica, I heard that one as well. So yeah, I like that one a lot. Thank you for joining us. This has been a legendary conversation. I'm excited for everyone who, if you haven't listened to the project by now, get your life together, go listen to that. What can you let people know about how else, to follow you? Any tours coming up, any follow-up projects? Like let everyone know what's up.
Right now we're planning a Canada tour. So I'm very excited to launch that. It's going to be coming in fall, I believe. And then we're going to be doing a US tour. You can follow me on Instagram at just Boslen, Boslen. Same thing on Twitter. Same thing on Apple Music. Same thing it's just Boslen. So if you look that up, I'm sure you'll find the boy. And I reply to all my DMs. So if you want to have an open conversation, let's talk. But bro, thank you more than anything. Thank you so much for taking your time. I really appreciate this. This has been like the most genuine interviews I've had in a very long time. So thank you.
No, I really, really appreciate that. Last but not least, make sure you follow us on YouTube at The Cool Table Live. Follow us on Apple Podcast, Spotify at In The Cut Podcast. Leave us a rating and a review, 5 stars, not a single star less. And of course, until next time, know yourself, know your worth.